So this is the sign that I made for Christmas for my house. I'm going to make two smaller ones for a craft fair I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to walk you guys through. So what I started with to make these actually is pieces of shiplap from Home Depot, and they come painted gray like this. And it comes in a 12-foot section for about $12.48, I think it was. And then they'll cut it in the store for you to make it easier to take in your car. So that is actually half of the board. It's each of those is a 3-foot section, and then I sandwiched them together the way shiplap is supposed to sit. And what I've got here to show you guys is the rest of it, which I brought home and cut down on my saw. So these are actually 1.5-foot sections. And the reason I picked this is because it's got texture, so some of the paint doesn't actually sit into the wood, which I really like. And then it kind of just interlocks together, kind of like tongue and groove. Just like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and nail them together so they stay locked together while I paint them. Alright, and so you can see my little hardware kit here. I'm just going to use these small finishing type nails. And what I did is I just put them up to the side to make sure they would go through the one piece of wood but not splinter through the front, because you don't want to crack it. So I'm just going to use these to secure it. After it's done, I'll probably add like a metal bracket to make sure that it won't fall apart while you hang it up, but this will keep it together for the painting process. Okay, so I've got this all nailed together. You'll see on the back you just line it up and it will leave that gap on the front automatically. I did want to just point out that if you're putting this on your wall or like siding or anything, you don't nail through the overlap part, but because it's just a sign, I went ahead and did it. And now I'm going to show you guys how we get the letters on it. So you can do these signs to say anything you want, and that's the great part about them. That's how I did my farmhouse signs, and I've done ones that say like fresh eggs. So I went on to a computer program and just printed out what I wanted it to say. So here we have Christmas trees for sale, and then the little guys down in the corner. And sometimes it'll print out smaller, and I had to enlarge it and play around until I got the size I wanted. But it's all just up to your taste, what you like. So once you have that, there's two ways you can get the letters to transfer. I do the easy way. I have these carbon sheets that I saved from work, and I'm just going to glue them on there with a glue stick, line the back up, just like that. Now if you wanted to, you could take a pencil and just draw really heavily along the whole thing, shade it. But that way, I don't know if you can reuse it more than once. When you use the carbon paper, you can do it at least a couple times. Okay, so now that it's all set to go, you're going to position it where you want it on there. And for this one, I'm going to go kind of in the center. Because there is a groove in the boards, because I'm using shiplap here, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't go through anything major. So it's just going to go through the middle of some of the letters, but that'll be okay. And then I secure it just with plain old masking tape, and I use a thick piece because it holds it down better. So we'll go ahead and tape that on right now. And I found that this doesn't take any of the tape off the board as long as it's dry, and this has been painted for a few days just sitting and waiting. So just secure it on there with the tape. And then all you're going to do is trace out the letters, and either the pencil shading or the carbon paper will then press it onto the board. So you're just going to use I use a pencil or a pen, that way I can see where I've gone. You don't have to. Right now I just have an end of a paintbrush to give you an idea. And you're just going to trace the outlines. When it's on the shiplap like this, you do have to press pretty hard. I found out the hard way. I had to do a lot of my letters on the signs twice because there's a lot of grooves that don't get transferred into. So once you do that, you're just going to peel it off. You'll have a faint outline of what to fill in, and then you're just going to go ahead and paint it. And the products I chose to paint with this time, I found these painter's pens, and they're just acrylic paint. I picked this up at Walmart, and it was somewhere around $3. And this is just the plain, like, straight red color. There's a few different reds, but I liked this one. And I got the one with like a chisel tip. It's good for filling in the letters. If it was like a fine marker, it would take forever. And I know that Sharpie makes some too, but theirs are oil paint, so they have a sheen. This is acrylic, so it stays pretty matte, which is what I wanted for this. I wanted to be more rustic. And then because the green paint pens were sold out, I just have this bottle here that's probably literally 10 years old. It's an Apple Barrel brand, and it's called Christmas Green. And so I am just going to fill in the green part, which will be for sale, the lines, and the Christmas tree logos. And I'm just going to do those with this brush. And I did find that with these pens, when you're going on the edges, you do have to be careful because it tends to bleed sometimes. So just use light pressure. So I am going to go ahead, I'm going to fill in all the paint. And then when that is done, I will show you guys what I do next. And so now I'm outside with the two smaller signs, and I'm just going to put some clear spray paint. I'm going to start with one of them because I'm not sure if it'll make the paint run and I don't want to go crazy. So this is what I picked up, Rust-Oleum Matte Clear, because I don't want them to be shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and just try it on one, and I'll let you guys know how it works. Okay, so that clear coat worked well. None of the letters ran, and they still have a nice matte finish. So I've got all three of them out here, and I just got to attach some hanging hardware. Alright, so we're down to the final part of getting these signs ready, and that's being able to hang them. So you can see that I put those brackets on the back I was talking about. I was able to find them at Walmart, and they're called mending plates, the actual name. And I think it was like $1.60, and you get 4 of them. So I used 2 on the small signs, on each of the small signs, and then the larger one I used 4 just to keep it secure. So that'll hold the wood together. And then now what we're going to do is put some twine on the back to hang it from. And because these are light signs, I'm just going to use twine on the little ones. The larger one, I probably will end up using picture wire just to be safe. But you're just going to cut a piece of twine longer than what you need. And there's a couple things to be aware of when you're going to staple this onto the back. You want to make sure your staples are shallower than the side of the sign. And I think that most standard ones for staple guns are, but just double check that. Also, you want to hang, or you want to staple this down where you're not going to have the twine going over the top when it hangs, but you also don't want to put it too low because then it's going to hang out from the wall at an angle. So I'm going to do it right about here. And you want to leave a little bit hanging off of this end because I go and I tie it after just to be doubly sure that it's secure. So we're going to go about there. And my dog hates the staple gun. But then I'm just going to secure this with a knot. And then you can trim the excess. Then you want to try and get it on the same side or the same depth on the other side. But the reason that I use this, so the reason that I use string to hang things like this is because it's easier to level it on your wall. If you use like picture hooks or sawtooth hangers on things like this, it's harder to level it on your wall, where this string, all you have to do is slide the piece back and forth on one nail hook. You don't have to make a bunch to try and get it right. So I'm just going to line it up so it's about the same on the other side just because I want it to look good. And then we're going to go ahead and staple that too. And get ready for the barking. Okay, and then I'm going to just trim it a little so it's easier to knot. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make the knot on this side. And these signs are light, so one piece of twine will hold it. You could double up on it if you want it to be like extra secure, but this is going to work. So yeah, it's just going to hang on the wall like that. And that is the finished product. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope I inspired you to maybe go try and make your own. It's time consuming, but it's not difficult, so really anybody could do it. So thank you guys for watching.